Vitamin D is easily absorbed. That's a myth. There's many barriers in the absorption of vitamin D. Number one, if you're obese, if you have darker skin, if you're older, the requirement for vitamin D goes way up because it takes more vitamin D to create the same effect. And then we have the question, where do you live? How far do you live from the equator? Do you live in the north or the south? That's going to determine how much vitamin D you get from the sun. Then we have skin exposure. Are you out there without your shirt? Or do you have a t-shirt? Is it just going on your face? Maybe some shorts? If you're not exposing your skin to the direct sunlight, you're not going to get vitamin D. Then you have standing versus lying down. Of course, when you're lying down, you're going to get more exposure to the sun. If your gut is damaged, that's going to block the ability for vitamin D to get absorbed. Not only does inflammation block vitamin D, but inflammation then turns into scar tissue that then blocks vitamin D. So whether you had Crohn's or IBS or celiac or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, that's going to majorly affect your ability to absorb vitamin D. Now, if you have a gallbladder problem, or you don't have a gallbladder, or you have a liver problem, you can't make bile because your bile is made by the liver. So the more damaged the liver is, the more fat you have. If you don't have the gallbladder, you don't have the bile, you're not going to be able to absorb the fat-soluble vitamins. Now, the kidney is involved in the conversion of the inactive to the active form of vitamin D, okay? So you need a good kidney. If you're a diabetic or you have really bad insulin resistance, that can mess up the kidney in the conversion from the inactive to the active vitamin D3. Okay, then we have good bacteria. Good bacteria actually makes bile. It's called secondary bile that helps the absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins. So if we don't have a good microbiome, you're not going to be able to produce the bile salts to be able to absorb these factors. Then we have pathogens. Pathogens are interesting because they have strategies to block the vitamin D receptor in your body. That's how they survive, because somehow they have the intelligence and they know how important vitamin D is with your immune system. So if you have pathogens in your body or you have an infection, you can have a situation where you can't absorb vitamin D. When you go through an infection, you get sick, the requirement for vitamin D goes way up. So you use a lot more vitamin D. And also, by the way, if you're a diabetic or you have insulin resistance, you're going to have a difficult time absorbing vitamin D as well. And then lastly, there could be a genetic issue. It's called polymorphism, where there's a defect in the vitamin D receptor. It's actually quite common. And I've had people get tested and they're taking the regular amount of vitamin D and not seeing any results. And all of a sudden they get the test and they take more and their sleeping is better, their mood is better, their inflammation in their lower back goes away. So it's a myth that vitamin D is easily absorbed. Before you go real quick, I have a course entitled How to Bulletproof Your Immune System. It's a free course. I want you to take it. And here's why. Here's you. Here is your environment. Everyone is focused on this over here, avoiding your environment. But what about here? What about strengthening your immune system? That's what's missing. This course will show you how to bulletproof yourself. And so you can tolerate and resist your environment much better by strengthening your own immune system. I put a link down in the description right down below. Check it out and get signed up today. Hey, before